بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أسألك من بهائك بأبهاه وكل بهائك بديع اللهم إني أسألك ببهائك كله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're like me, you might have grown up hearing this supplication being recited, possibly on TV or on the radio, especially if you grew up maybe in an Iranian family or if you grew up in Iran. This is a recitation of dua Sahar, the early morning supplication, or dua al-Baha, which is a supplication that's recited early in the mornings during the holy month of Ramadan, while families wake up to have their morning meal before beginning the fast. This supplication is often recited at that time, 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, or 5 a.m. depending on the time of year. This dua comes to us. It is narrated from Imam Ali al-Rida, alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him, and he narrates from his great-grandfather, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him, the great-great-grandson of the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace and blessings be upon him and his family. Today I want to focus on what I believe is a beautiful aspect of this dua. Now, among the many beautiful things that we get from the many supplications coming from the family of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon them, is that our Imams and the Ahlul Bayt often use a form of argumentation. They put forth an argument, a rational or logical argument before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make a point, to make a claim, to then go forth and do a supplication, to ask for things which are good to ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, we have in Dua Abu Hamza al-Thamali another supplication that's actually recommended to recite early in the mornings in the holy month of Ramadan. Here is just a section of it. O Allah, you have ordered us in your book that we should overlook those who wrong us. We have wronged ourselves, so forgive us, for you are worthier of forgiveness than we are. And you have ordered us not to reject any beggar begging on our doors. Here I am begging you, so do not reject me, rather respond to my need. And you have ordered us to act nicely to those who are under our authorities. And we are surely under your authority, so release us from hellfire. In this supplication we see that the Imam is saying that, well, you have asked us to act in this way, so you're more worthy of acting, and forgiving us and not rejecting us. So we are basically putting forth this sort of argument to Allah, saying that if you expect us to act this way, then we surely expect you to be most forgiving when it comes to us. And of course, this is not, God forbid, this is not in any way trying to convince God of anything, because of course God will act that way. So what is the purpose of putting forth these arguments in the first place? I believe that by making such a case, we're doing two things. First, we are acknowledging our recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His attributes, His mercy, His forgiveness, etc. Of course, a very limited recognition, but nonetheless we are acknowledging that we recognize that He is most forgiving, He is most merciful, right? And second, inshallah, we can actually increase our recognition and increase our understanding of those attributes by going through the process of making this argument. We are reminding ourselves and thereby hopefully increasing our understanding. And not only that, we're reminding ourselves by using the words of the Imams. So we might have not really had the recognition that the Imam, of course, we don't have the recognition the Imams did, when they express these words. So by sort of imitating the words that they expressed, and by pondering on those words, you say, oh, this actually might give us a new way, a new lens, or might give us a deeper understanding of, for example, the mercy or the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in Dua as-Sahar, or Dua al-Baha, there are 21 sections that follow a very similar pattern. They follow a 3-line structure. So we just heard one of those at the beginning in Arabic. So the section we heard earlier translates to, O Allah, I beseech you by your splendor, which is most splendorous, and all of your splendor is splendorous. O Allah, I beseech you by all of your splendor. And so there are 20 other lines that follow a very similar pattern. So let me just recite 2 of those. Allahumma inni as'aluka min nurika bi anwari wa kullu nurika nayir. Allahumma inni as'aluka bi nurika kulli. Allahumma inni as'aluka min rahmatika bi awsa'iha. وكل رحمتك واسعة اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك كلها. So hopefully by now it's sort of clear the structure that this dua takes. And the point I want to make here is that this structure is close to the structure of a logical syllogism. Now a syllogism is a very simple form of logical argument, which I believe dates back to Aristotle. The structure of a syllogism is that you draw a conclusion from 2 statements, one general statement and one particular statement. So the canonical example of a syllogism, which you may have heard of in school, is all men are mortal. So that's a general statement about mankind. Socrates is a man. That's a particular statement about a particular person. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Right? If all men are mortal, and if Socrates is a man, then Socrates must be mortal. It should be very clear how the 3rd statement comes from the first 2. Naturally, it logically flows from the first 2. So if we go back to this dua, this supplication, we have a very similar pattern. So if we take one of the stanzas as an example, we have, O Allah, I beseech you by your light, which is most luminous. And all of your light is luminous. Right? So I'm beseeching Allah by His light, which is most luminous, and if all of His light is luminous, let's say equally luminous, right? Then naturally it flows that I'm beseeching Allah by all of His light. I'm not being, picky about which light, because all of His light is luminous, right? Now, this is a little bit different than a traditional syllogism, because usually in a syllogism, we're trying to derive something, right? In this case, the 3rd statement we make isn't really a derivation that we need to make. Oh Allah, we could just naturally say, Oh Allah, I beseech you by all of your light. I don't need to derive that, I just do it, right? I ask Allah by all of His light. I don't need to make a logical, I don't need to have that be a logical conclusion of some other statements, right? But it does logically flow from the first 2 statements. So why does the dua go through this pattern? Now, of course, I can't claim I understand the wisdom behind this. But one possibility, again, going back to what I claimed earlier, is that when we make the dua, we're first asking Allah, right? We're asking Allah by one of His attributes. So we're recognizing one of His attributes, or we're recognizing, for example, the light of Allah, or the mercy of Allah, or the splendor of Allah, right? And then we make a statement of recognition, a statement that we say, all of Allah's light is luminous. So it's almost like this inspiration that all of a sudden we realize this is a true statement. This is something I believe. And then we can refine our first dua. We can say, because I recognize this, I'm going to go back to my supplication, and now I'm going to make a new supplication, a second supplication. I'm now going to beseech you, O Allah, by all of your light. And that third line, even though I said earlier that I could have just made that supplication without, going through this process, by making it after I make the first two statements, that statement now carries more weight to it. Because it's coming through a process of recognition. It's coming through this it's coming as a logical consequence of the first two statements that shows that I recognize something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is of course true if we recite this dua with this recognition. Not if we, like I sometimes do, have it playing in the background on our TV while we're trying to eat food in the last few minutes we have, right? But if we truly ponder about this, it follows this beautiful logical pattern where hopefully through the process we recognize something about Allah and then use that newfound recognition to then make a new supplication, hopefully a more worthy supplication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer. So hopefully we will remember this going forward during the month of Ramadan, but also throughout the year when we have the opportunity to recite many of the du'as and supplications of the Ahlul Bayt, or even to create our own du'as. We can take inspiration from this form of logical argumentation that our imams have used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best of ways. And with that, please remember all of the mu'mineen and the believers in your du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.